If it were you, you would not survive past 24 hours. Forget the romantic cowboys strolling under the sunset. Forget the heroic sheriffs and the noble outlaws. The terrifying truth is that the 19th century Wild West was a gigantic, unrelenting slaughterhouse. For the next 24 hours, you will face a thirst that tears your chest apart, diseases that rot your flesh while you still breathe, and cold gun barrels hiding in the darkness. This is not a fairy tale spun by Hollywood directors. This is hell on earth. You are standing at the edge of the abyss. The clock starts now. You think the sun is your hope? You think dawn brings salvation and a clear path forward? No. In this lawless territory, the sun is the very first executioner knocking on your door. Welcome to Hour 1. The air is already suffocating, thick with dust and the smell of dried sweat. You are standing on the infamous Oregon Trail. History books painted this as a grand, noble adventure of manifest destiny. The reality is far more gruesome. It is a massive, sprawling graveyard stretching for thousands of miles. Over 20,000 rotting corpses pave the dirt beneath your leather boots. White bones bleach under the relentless, uncaring sky. The temperature in the desert surges past 115 degrees. The wind does not cool your sweating skin. It burns like the breath of an open furnace. It carries the stinking smell of decay from the wagons that came before you. Your water supply was exhausted 3 days ago. Your wooden canteen is a hollow, useless shell mocking your survival. Hour 2. The thirst begins to devour you from the inside out. It is not just a dry mouth. It is a ruthless, systematic torture of your own biology. Your body is shutting down, turning against itself. Your saliva thickens into a foul-tasting paste. Your throat feels like it is packed with crushed glass and burning coals. Every attempt to swallow draws black blood from your cracked, dehydrated tissues. Your lips split open. The flesh peels away in agonizing strips, leaving raw nerves exposed to the dry, salty wind. You scan the endless horizon for a river, a stream, even a puddle. There is nothing but endless, mocking dust and heat waves distorting the landscape. The frontier does not care about your dreams of a better life. The frontier only wants to consume your flesh and leave your bones to the vultures. Hour 3. Pure panic sets in. It is the desperate, chilling realization that you are entirely alone in a void of suffering. Your heavy wooden wagon wheels creak, a sound that drills into your aching skull. The oxen, the massive beasts you relied on, are collapsing one by one. Their thick tongues are swollen, hanging from their mouths. Their eyes roll back into their skulls as their organs fail from the extreme heat. You have to unhitch them. You leave them to die in the sand, abandoning your property, abandoning your humanity. You have to walk. Every single step is an agony that tears your leg muscles apart. Your boots feel like they are filled with lead. You start to hallucinate. Your dying brain plays cruel tricks on you. You see shimmering lakes of crystal clear water just over the next dune. You run toward them, weeping, falling face first into the burning sand. You claw at the dirt like a madman, digging until your fingernails bleed. Hour 4. A cruel twist of fate. You actually find a waterhole, a small, muddy puddle baking under the brutal, unforgiving sun. But as you drag your broken body closer, the illusion of salvation shatters into a million pieces. It is not a sanctuary. It is a biological nightmare. The water is thick, brown, and foul. It reeks of human feces, rotting vegetation, and dead animals. A decomposing coyote corpse floats in the center, swarming with fat black flies and white maggots. The stench is violently suffocating, hitting your nose like a physical punch, but you do not care. You cannot care. The primal animal instinct takes over every logical thought in your brain. You crawl toward the mud, dragging your exhausted, trembling body through the dirt. You scoop the warm, stinking filth into your shaking hands. You drink the dark, contaminated slime. You gag violently. Your stomach rejects the foul taste, but you force it down. You are drinking liquid death. You are fully aware that this mud is pure poison, filled with microscopic monsters, but you drink it anyway, just to buy a few more hours of miserable, pathetic survival. Hour 5. The brutal, unforgiving nature of humanity reveals itself. You are not the only desperate soul at this putrid waterhole. You hear the slow, agonizing crunch of wheels. Another wagon arrives. A family of migrants, desperate, suffocating. A mother steps down, her face gaunt, her eyes hollow with terror. She approaches the puddle, holding a rusted tin cup. She whispers a plea, begging for a few drops of the muddy water for her dying child, crying weakly in the back of the wagon. What do? Do you share the mud? Do you show mercy? Do you remember the teachings of your church? No. This is the Wild West. Mercy gets you killed. Empathy is a fatal weakness that will leave your bones to be picked clean by scavengers. You pull back your heavy, dust-covered coat. You draw your Colt 45 six-shooter. The heavy steel feels cold and absolute against your sweaty palm. You cock the hammer. The sharp click echoes in the dead silence of the desert. You aim the dark barrel straight at the mother's chest. You do not speak. You do not have to. The threat is absolute. Step forward, and I will execute you right here in the dirt. She stares at you. Her eyes are filled with a terrifying, absolute hatred. She lowers the cup. She steps back, defeated by your cruelty. You have just secured your own survival by damning an innocent child to die of thirst. You are no longer a pioneer. You are a monster. This is the bloody, corrupted reality of the frontier. Hour 6. The sun reaches its absolute peak in the sky. It is a giant, glowing guillotine hanging directly over your head, radiating pure malice. You sit alone by the poisoned puddle, your gun still resting on your lap. The muddy water you drank is now sitting heavy and warm in your stomach. Suddenly, a sharp, violent cramp twists your guts. It is like a rusted knife stabbing you from the inside. It drops you to your knees in the dirt. Cold sweat mixes with the thick dust on your face. You drop the gun. You clutch your stomach, gasping for air. Something is terribly wrong. You thought the agonizing thirst was your absolute worst enemy. You thought the sun was the ultimate killer. You were dead wrong. The true nightmare is just waking up inside your body. The microscopic demons you just swallowed are preparing to tear you apart. The ticking clock of your survival continues to count down, and hell is about to open its gates. Hour 7. The shadow of death shifts from the blinding sky to your own corrupted veins. The muddy water you forced down your throat was not a gift of survival. It was a Trojan horse filled with invisible, rotting death. Welcome to the invisible executioner of the frontier. Welcome to the cholera epidemic. You thought the gold rush only brought greed and ambition. You are foolish. It brought a plague that devours wagon trains whole. The microscopic bacteria are now swimming through your digestive tract. They are aggressively multiplying, preparing to launch a catastrophic assault on your internal organs. You are a walking corpse, and you do not even know it yet. The sweat on your forehead turns cold. A strange, unnatural chill creeps up your spine despite the scorching ambient temperature. The invisible executioner has taken its position. Hour 8. The physical torment begins. It does not start with a gentle fever or a slight cough. It starts with a violent, agonizing explosion of pain. It feels like someone forced you to swallow rusted barbed wire. And now they are slowly pulling it through your intestines. You collapse into the scorching dust. You scream, clutching your stomach so hard your fingernails dig into your own flesh. Your body violently rejects the poison, but it is not food. It is dark, foul-smelling mucus mixed with black blood. The bacteria are literally stripping the lining of your stomach. Your internal organs are being transformed into a rotting, festering swamp. The pain is so absolute, so blinding, that you pray for a bullet to end it. You look around, hoping a savage outlaw might put you out of your misery. But the desert is empty. You are trapped in a prison of your own failing flesh. You dry heave until your ribs feel like they are cracking. Hour 9. The horrific reality of a living decomposition sets in. Cholera does not just kill you quietly. It liquefies you from the inside out. Your body is desperately trying to flush out the disease, draining every single drop of moisture you have left in your tissues. You suffer from explosive, uncontrollable dysentery. The stench of liquid human waste and internal decay is suffocating. It fills the heavy desert air, creating a sickening cloud around you. You look at your trembling hands. The dehydration is so rapid and severe that your skin loses all its elasticity. It turns a ghastly, bruised shade of blue. Your face changes in a matter of minutes. Your cheeks hollow out completely. Your eyes sink so deeply into your skull that you look like a demonic skeleton wrapped in thin, wet paper. You are rotting alive under the burning sun. The fat black flies begin to land on your face, drawn by the unmistakable smell of impending death. You do not even have the strength to brush them away. They crawl over your cracked lips and into your bleeding nostrils. Hour 10. The ultimate test of humanity approaches. You are dragging yourself along the dirt trail, leaving a pathetic, shameful trail of blood and filth behind you. Your partner, the person you swore to protect, the person you shared your life with, begins to show the exact same symptoms. They collapse in the mud next to a broken wagon wheel. They are crying, shivering violently despite the extreme heat. They reach out a trembling, blue hand, begging you for help. The chilling truth of the lawless territory stares you directly in the face. There are no doctors here. There is no medicine. There is no sanctuary. If you stay to comfort them, you will inhale their sickness. You will guarantee your own agonizing death. What do? Do you stay? Do you hold their hand as they liquefy into the dirt? The moral code of civilized society crumbles into dust out here. Survival is a ruthless, zero-sum game. Someone has to die so someone else can breathe for a few minutes longer. Hour 11. Fear completely suffocates morality. The primal, terrifying urge to live crushes whatever love you had left in your rotting heart. You look at their desperate, sunken eyes. You see the sheer terror of a lonely death reflecting in their tears. And you turn your back. You slowly walk away. You do not look back as they scream your name. Their voice cracks, turning into a wet, gurgling sob that echoes across the empty wasteland. You leave them to rot by the side of the trail. You leave them to be eaten alive by starving coyotes while they are still breathing. You are a coward, running from a nightmare you cannot escape. You have survived another hour, but your soul is permanently stained with pitch-black betrayal. You try to justify it to yourself. You tell yourself they were already dead, but you know the absolute truth. You sacrifice them to the brutal frontier. Hour 12. The silence of the desert is deafening. You are entirely alone now. The physical pain in your gut is matched only by the crushing psychological weight of what you just did. The sun begins its slow, agonizing descent, casting long, distorted shadows across the dunes. The heat refuses to break. Your mouth is a dry cavern. Your muscles spasm violently, threatening to tear themselves off the bone. Every breath you take rattles in your chest like dry leaves. You stumble forward, driven by pure, mindless instinct. You are a hollow shell of a human being. The civilized world you left behind is a distant, forgotten dream. You are now a true citizen of the Wild West. You are a monster wandering through a cemetery of broken promises and bleached bones. And the sun is finally going down. The blazing heat is fading, but do not let out a sigh of relief just yet. The darkness is coming, and the darkness brings a completely different kind of slaughter. The nocturnal predators of the frontier are waking up, and they are hungry. Hour 13. The sun finally disappears behind the jagged mountains. You take a deep, rattling breath. You think the darkness will bring a moment of relief from the blazing heat? You are a fool. The night does not offer sanctuary. It simply changes the executioner. When the scorching light is snuffed out, the flimsy laws of civilized men evaporate into the cold desert wind. The dark, sprawling frontier is the exclusive playground of absolute demons. Forget the honorable, romanticized cowboys facing off at high noon in a dusty street. That is a pathetic cinematic lie designed to sell tickets. The real outlaws of the 19th century are not heroes. They are bloodthirsty, cowardly predators. They do not look you in the eye in a fair fight. They shoot you in the back while you sleep. Hour 14. You are shivering violently. The desert temperature drops rapidly to freezing. You are hiding in a shallow, Rotsky ravine, clutching your empty stomach. Suddenly, the deafening, terrifying crack of a Winchester rifle shatters the dead silence. It is not a single shot. It is a massive volley of heavy lead bullets raining down from the high ridges. You peek over the jagged rocks. Down in the valley, a small wagon camp of migrants is being systematically slaughtered. There is no fair fight. There is no warning. A gang of ruthless outlaws is executing unarmed men, women, and children for a few bags of stale flour and a handful of silver coins. This is the authentic Wild West. It is a relentless, unforgiving meat grinder. Hour 15. The massacre intensifies to a fever pitch. Canvas tents burst into blinding flames, illuminating the carnage in a hellish, orange glow. The sickening, sweet smell of burning human flesh mixes with the choking, acrid scent of black gunpowder. You watch in absolute, paralyzing horror. You see dark silhouettes riding massive horses, trampling directly over the dying. You hear the agonizing, High-pitched screams of people being dragged out of their protective wagons into the unforgiving darkness. You hear the sickening thud of heavy rifle butts crushing skulls. Warm blood splatters against the white canvas of the remaining tents. It is a symphony of pure, unadulterated madness, and you can do absolutely nothing. If you move a single inch, they will see you. If you breathe too loudly, you are dead. You are forced to watch humanity devour itself. Hour 16. A terrifying shift in the wind. The riders spot your fresh tracks in the dirt. They turn their massive horses toward the ravine where you are hiding. Panic grips your throat like a cold steel vice. You cannot run. Your legs are completely paralyzed by exhaustion and the festering disease in your gut. To survive the next 60 minutes, you must perform the most degrading, sickening act of your miserable life. You look down into the freezing mud. There is a body, a fresh, rotting corpse of another traveler who died days ago. The flesh is bloated, already crawling with white maggots. You do not hesitate. The primal instinct to live overrides every ounce of your civilized disgust. You crawl into the bloody, foul-smelling mud. You pull the heavy, decomposing corpse directly over your own trembling body. You bury your face in its rotting, hollow chest. You hold your breath. Hour 17. The nightmare becomes entirely tactile. The outlaws dismount their horses. You hear the slow, methodical crunch of their heavy, blood-soaked leather boots stepping on the gravel. They are hunting. They are sweeping the ravine. They are right on top of you. A heavy boot steps mere inches from your exposed, terrified face. You can smell the stale whiskey, the dried sweat, and the fresh copper scent of blood on the killer's clothes. You bite your own tongue until it bleeds profusely, filling your mouth with the metallic taste of pure panic. You pray to a silent, uncaring God that the devil standing directly above you does not look down. The rotting, putrid fluids from the corpse above you drip slowly into your open eyes. You cannot blink. You cannot shiver. Your muscles scream in agonizing cramps. You must become the dead to survive the living. Time stops entirely. Every single heartbeat sounds like a massive bass drum echoing in your ears. Will they hear your heart beating? Will they shoot the corpse just to be absolutely sure? The tension is absolute. Mind-breaking torture. Hour 18. A sharp whistle cuts through the freezing air. The outlaws finally mount their horses. They ride away into the pitch-black night, leaving behind a burning, silent graveyard. You wait an agonizing 30 minutes before you dare to move a single muscle. You push the heavy, maggot-infested corpse off your chest with a wet thud. You stand up, covered head to toe in black blood, rotting tissue, and freezing mud. You vomit dry air. Your stomach completely empty. You are physically alive. But the human being you were yesterday is completely dead and buried in that dark ravine. You stagger forward, leaving the smoking massacre behind. In the distance, you see the faint, flickering yellow lights of a settlement, a town. You drag your broken, diseased body toward it. You think you have finally found civilization. You think you are safe? You are horribly mistaken. You are about to walk directly into the transit station of hell. The final 6 hours of your brutal frontier survival have just begun, and the executioner is already tying the heavy knot of the noose. Hour 19. You survived the brutal, bloody night. Your leather boots are heavy, coated in freezing mud and the sticky blood of a dead stranger. You stumble forward, your lungs burning with every breath. You look toward the horizon and see the faint, flickering yellow lights of a settlement, a town. You think you have finally found civilization. You let out a desperate, rattling sigh of relief. You think you are safe from the horrors of the wilderness? You are horribly, tragically mistaken. You have not found sanctuary. You have just walked directly into the transit station of hell. Welcome to the frontier ghost town. It is a cesspool of human corruption, a place ruled not by the law of men, but by the cold weight of lead and the absolute cruelty of greed. It is governed by a tyrannical, bloodthirsty U.S. Marshal and his gang of ruthless executioners, hiding their crimes behind cheap tin stars. Hour 20. The sickening stench hits your face before you even push open the swinging wooden doors of the local saloon. It is an overwhelming, suffocating mixture of cheap, watered-down whiskey, acidic human vomit, and stale, rotting blood baked into the floorboards. Hour 21. A sudden, violent commotion erupts in the shadows behind you. You are grabbed from behind by unseen hands. Rough, calloused fingers violently twist your arms behind your back, nearly dislocating your shoulders. You scream, but a heavy fist smashes into your jaw. Filling your mouth with the taste of copper, a stolen horse was found abandoned near your trail entering the town. That is all they need. You are dragged through the horse manure, kicked repeatedly in the ribs, and thrown onto your bleeding knees before a drunken sheriff. There is no judge to hear your plea. There is no jury of your peers to weigh the evidence. There is no evidence at all. There is only a brutal, 5-minute trial based on nothing but a bounty hunter's greedy, desperate lie. He wants the $50 reward money to buy more whiskey, and your life is the cheap price he is willing to pay. The verdict is instantly guilty. The sentence is absolute and final. Death by hanging. You are scheduled to swing from the rope at the first light of dawn. Hour 22. You are violently lifted off your feet and thrown into a pitch-black dungeon deep beneath the sheriff's office. The heavy iron door slams shut with a deafening clang, sealing you in a suffocating, airless tomb. The air inside is unimaginably thick with despair and the sickening stench of previous victims who met their end on the rope. The damp wooden floor is permanently stained with the sweat, urine, and tears of terrified men who wept uncontrollably before their necks were broken. Huge, aggressive rats scurry over your boots in the absolute darkness, biting at your ankles. You sit in the filth, shivering violently, waiting for the executioner to come and measure your neck. You have exactly 2 hours left to breathe. The ticking clock of your survival is almost out of time, and the devil is waiting. Hour 23. The psychological torture reaches its absolute, mind-breaking peak. You are pacing the tiny cell like a trapped, feral animal. To escape the hangman's noose, you realize you must make a final, damning trade. A corrupt deputy approaches the iron bars of your cell, holding a flickering lantern. He reeks of stale alcohol and cheap, pungent tobacco. He wants money to leave the door unlocked, but your pockets are completely empty. You have absolutely nothing of material value, except information. You look at the deputy's greedy eyes. You tell him about the hidden wagon camp you passed in the ravine earlier. You give him the exact location of the vulnerable survivors hiding in the rocks. You offer him a group of easy, unarmed targets to rob and slaughter. You willingly trade the lives of innocent, terrified people to save your own miserable neck. The deputy smiles a wicked, yellow-toothed grin. He turns the heavy iron key. He unlocks the door. Hour 24. The iron door swings open. You step out into the blinding, scorching light of a brand new day. You survived. You beat the ticking clock of the frontier, but look down at your trembling hands. They are permanently, invisibly stained with the blood of the innocent. You left a dying child to choke on dust. You abandoned your partner to rot alive from a putrid disease. You hid under a decaying, maggot-infested corpse like a coward while families were slaughtered. And finally, you sold out innocent people to bloodthirsty murderers just to buy another miserable breath of air. You are physically alive. Yes, but your human soul is completely dead, rotting in the desert sun. This was just 24 hours. This was just one single, ordinary day in the brutal, unflinching reality of the Wild West. The frontier was never, ever a place for noble heroes riding off into the sunset. It was a massive, merciless meat grinder that systematically crushed human decency and rewarded only the most ruthless, cold-blooded predators. How many hours would you have actually lasted before the darkness swallowed you whole? Leave a comment below right now and tell me exactly when your mind would have completely snapped under the pressure. And if you think crossing the burning desert was the ultimate nightmare, you are entirely mistaken. Next time, we are descending into the suffocating, pitch-black darkness of the Gold Rush mining dungeons. We will explore the forgotten, suffocating hell where thousands of men were buried alive, screaming for mercy in the collapsing earth as their lungs filled with dust. The nightmare has just begun. Make sure you hit subscribe. If you truly dare to know the dark history they tried to bury,